Please welcome a man once described by the Times as a man who has a CV that takes some beating. Ladies and gentlemen, your innovation speaker, Mr. Hamish Taylor.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's lecture on the viscoelastic properties of sodium hypochlorite. Now, are there any chemists? No, that means I can lie. It roughly translates as, "Madam, is your toilet cleaner able to last through the flush of the toilet or not?" Because for the first few years of my career, that was the most exciting thing in life to me. Then into head of brand management at British Airways. Great time to be there, lots of innovation, got to do some exciting things like putting beds into aeroplanes in the mid-1990s. Now, I'm sure all of you guys travel first class everywhere you go, yeah? Yeah, I thought as much. So this will be revision. You know this, okay? It's not as... But, you know, it used to be that the seats were fine and they were big and lots of legroom. But, you know, you didn't have any privacy. And on an overnight flight, there's a stranger next to you. It's not great. So the beds, yes, they were flat, but they were also private. So much so that I got a letter from a lady thanking me most profusely for the fact that when she travelled with her boss, she now no longer had to sleep. From there to Eurostar. Now, what am I going to tell you about Eurostar? My first chief executive job. Fantastic. The French, the English, and the Belgians working together in perfect harmony. Is what I would like to be able to tell you. Now, actually, it's the only time in my entire life when being a Scottish that is, but with an English accent, was a really good move. Because in England, I'm one of the team. When you get to France, make sure they realise you are Scottish, not English, and it gets on fine. When you get to Belgium, it's equally important that they understand you're not French. So that works fine as well. I thought it can only get better. Actually, to be honest, the French being on strike was not a big issue because it was Thursday. Now, they did a few other things like expectations. If it's a 25-minute wait from here, tell everybody it's 30 minutes. And then when they get to the front, they're happy because they've beaten the system. They said it was going to be 30 minutes, and I did it in 25. Look how good at queuing I am. Yeah, it was... But that's what they did. I also now understand why they eat rabbits in Malta. But anyway, that's another story. The Milky Way was always sold as, this is the brand you can give to your children and it won't ruin their dinner, the nice chocolate bar. But the reason why, you can believe it? Because it was about that size. It was always really disappointing when your mother bought you a Milky Way. You know, Mars bars were at least this big, and a Milky Way was kind of like that. It was horrible. The only thing that matters is every time he opens his mouth to speak, you nod like this. Then you point at the penalty spot, then you blow the whistle. Who gets the fireworks? Right. So, I'm a rugby referee myself. And rugby as a sport is quite difficult to referee. And actually, most of the referees don't know all the rules, to be honest. Or maybe that's just me, I don't know. The players seem to think I don't anyway. I said, well, yeah, I was going to have... He said, I'll tell you what, he said, stand there. I said, pardon? He said, stand there. So he stood me here, in front of the curtain that went back out into the cabin. And he's over there by the coffee machines. And I'm thinking, this is very strange. So he leans across in front of me, he grabbed the curtain, and he whips it back really quickly, really noisily. So what happens? I look up. What do I see? 50 Club World passengers, all facing in this direction. They've heard the curtain go back. So what do? They look up. And we look at each other. And what felt like about 10 minutes, but I'm told was 2.5 seconds, this voice from behind me goes, go on then, interact. I did. I interacted with the curtain and shut it again pretty quickly. It's frankly you lot. Because you bring a bag along that's too big, and you know it's too big. And we know you know it's too big, because we can spot you a mile off. You know, bag over the shoulder, right round the back, sort of walk up to the desk like this. No, just the computer bag today, you know. Have you brought the mainframe with you, sir? No. And all of these boxes have got a rim like this. Once that bag has gone in, believe me, it is not coming out in a hurry. And I'm convinced one day I'm going to see somebody walking on board an aircraft carrying their bag with the box still attached. I proved it would fit. Look at this. I thought I'd better ask. I said, Donald, just out of interest, why did you ask about that particular sound a few minutes ago? He said, oh, nothing, Daddy. He says, it's just, well, it sounded a bit like a harmonica to me, but I wasn't sure.